Hey, slot car fans, this is Rob DeLeon with the DeLeon Slot Car Raceway, and I'm trying to keep my voice down this morning, so hopefully I'm not whispering, and hopefully I've got enough volume you can hear me. But it's about 5 o'clock here, a.m. on a Tuesday. And as usual, I don't usually sleep a whole lot, but it's been compounded this week with several issues that are happening in my life that I'll just share a little bit about what's going on.
Born to run, baby. Born to run. Welcome to the DeLeon.
But basically, I have a home in the area that I live in that my parents used to own when they were alive, and the home has actually been broken into not once, but twice. And I've tried to do whatever I can to protect the home with security and waiting there to find out if somebody is going to come back, and of course they did. But because my emergency calls to the police basically took 2 hours to complete, the police finally arrived, and of course the criminals were gone. And I kind of blame this on the state and sometimes maybe the local politicians. Maybe not so much local in Bakersfield because we are still a conservative town. But this need for California politicians to give criminals the keys to the state and let them basically do whatever they want to do and build their little criminal empires at the cost of the tax-paying citizens, it's really ridiculous, and I'm really getting fed up with it. As most of you that maybe watch this channel, you're good taxpayers and you're good citizens and you do the right things and you provide for your families like I do. But I'm not going to allow some dirtbag criminal to come in and try to take over something that belongs rightfully to myself because the politicians have allowed it to happen. So anyway, with that said, this has to be the dumbest state, I would say, in the U.S. And if I could basically move out, I would leave the state because it's just it's getting really difficult to try to protect yourself here and try to follow the rules, follow the laws, because the laws are not set up for law-abiding citizens anymore, at least in California. They are here to protect the criminals who have basically been let out of prison and they're running amok and doing what they want to do. So I guess that's all I really have to say on it. And it's a cold morning this morning. This area I live in, it usually has 2 seasons. It's either summer or winter, with maybe a week of fall and spring between those two. So if you hear some noise behind me, it's because there's a space heater, and it's not 110 in my garage like it usually is. It's 40 degrees. Anyway, we continue. And so what I have here on the turntable is my new slotted, and this is a McLaren, and this is the M20. Now, I just picked this car up maybe about a month ago, but with all the issues I've been having lately and dealing with these, I would say, criminal reform issues, I haven't had a time to make a video, and I've spent more time chasing down all kinds of other stuff, trying to get things taken care of. So this car is really a beautiful looking car. I love the livery. I think it's going to look great going down the track. I have another one to compare it with, and this is my Carrera version, which I have actually run on my track many times, and I've run it at Electric Dreams. And it's a great running car. It has the new tires that seem that they're not the ones that start to fall apart and melt like the other Carrera tires do. These have kind of a rubbery feel to them. And the car handles very good on the track. But the only thing I can complain about is the strut system here for the rear wing is very delicate. And it didn't take much more than just a slight smack on the end of the track after a D-slot to pop this wing out, which is basically just held in with 2 little plastic pins, one here and one there. And once the wing had popped out, the struts had popped out of the back here. And so I had to pull the car off the track and put it all back together. But other than that, it's an awesome running car. Oh, and yeah, one of the employees, I think it might have been, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Mark. He had found, I think it was him, I think he had found one of my stacks on the track. So if you do get this car, make sure that your intake stacks are glued in, because they will fall off sometimes. So anyway, that's a great looking car. I wish these were closer to the same size. You can see the size difference. They're supposed to be 1/32 scale, but this one's obviously not. This one's a little bit bigger. Let's take a look at the McLaren a little bit better. And so, like I said, I haven't driven this car on the track yet. I remember when this car first came out, I thought to myself, you know, I'd like a second one, and it has a nice look to it. I know it's going to run great because it's a slotted vehicle. But if we take a look at it really closely, we can see that there's a kind of an aluminum panel here that maybe is supposed to be riveted in with your sponsor logos. It's a little bit different than the one here. This one has more of a just kind of painted surface with a couple of sponsor logos. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. If we look at both of these cars, just for the heck of it, I like to compare similar cars. We can see how much bigger the Carrera is if we just kind of go from wheelbase to wheelbase. Now, this is still a really nice looking car, and I like this Golf livery on it. But this one in its own right, that looks really good. I don't know if these are decals. I would assume that they're decals, but they do a really good job with the finish. It's got a nice glossy finish to it, and I'm just hoping that the wing struts here are a little bit stronger than the one on the Carrera version. And you can see you have a little bit of more of a detailed vent cut out in the back on the slotted, but it looks like there's maybe a little bit more detail on the rear on the Carrera. Now you can really see the size difference of these cars here. The size of the drivers also, big difference. And I think Carrera has maybe a couple of different liveries with the same car, just as slotted does, but this is the newest slotted version. And it sure does look good. Can't wait to take it on the track here. And as we can see, this one has a Sidewinder motor with a little motor pod and a magnet. Man, that looks really good. And look at the helmet detail here. Stars and Stripes helmet. That's awesome. Anyway, we're going to take a look at another car. I'll just set this one right here. And if you see these Hot Wheels around my little display area, it's because I was doing a Hot Wheel video as well. I do have another channel that I'm starting to increase the video content of that, and that one basically does Hot Wheels and die-cast models, RC. So, but I've left this channel here strictly slot cars. I think it works better that way. So this is one I was waiting for a time now, because I'm a big fan of the livery, and I'm a big fan of the car. And this is the Porsche 962 with the Momo livery. And that is an awesome looking car. Anything that usually is red or yellow, I think looks great on the track. It just really stands out. And so when this one came out, I was almost going to pull the trigger on another one. I think that was the Fat Turbo. And I said, no, I'm going to hold off. I don't need maybe 2 or 3 different versions of the same car. So as soon as I saw this one being, slated to come out, at the end of 23, I said, I'm going to just hold off and get this one. And that car sure does look good. And again, Slotted does a really good job with their paint and finish. You can see how much gloss there is on the car. And I believe this one comes with 2 different wing attachments, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look at the box, but I think there's 2 different wing attachments. There is this one here, and then there's another one that I think there's another one that maybe looks a little bit more realistic, but this is the stronger of the 2. It has a lot of nice detail in it as well. And I'm sure a lot of you already have this car out here. And I've probably had it for about a month or so. I just haven't had time to make any videos on it. And this one has an inline, as you can see. Hasn't seen a track yet. It's been sitting on this bench. Well, that's going to be a fun car to drive. And I think if we're going to compare something with this car, let me get a car that we can compare it to. I think that would be pretty cool. So this here is this is the 962, and then here we have the 956. This one has an interesting little wing up here. And of course, Jägermeister livery. Love the way this thing looks when it's going around the track. The only thing that concerns me is that this wing hangs off the back end, and that's usually the first thing you get smacked when you get hit. Whereas this one's more attached to the car. And then, not to be outdone, we also have this one. And I believe this is also the 956 as well. And the wheels are a little bit different. This one has more of an inset offset, and this one has more of a kind of like a turbofan offset. It's kind of sticking out. Slotted does make some nice looking Porsches, I gotta admit. And this one here is no exception. This one's really nice. So I'm hoping to get this one on the track soon. Maybe the next time I get over to Electric Dreams, I'll run that car on the track. And if we're done looking at this one, man, that just looks really good. We'll take a look at the last one I have here. And this one's kind of special to me as well. I held off on getting this one for a while. I just found out they just released a couple of new liveries on this car. So this is the Marlboro livery. You can see how, I guess in America, we can't advertise cigarettes. I thought we couldn't even advertise alcohol, but there's one that's an alcoholic beverage. So what they do now is they just run these little vertical lines to sort of mimic what the logo would have looked like had they been able to put that on there. But that's a really nice looking car too. And I just understood that MR slot car version of this car is going to be coming out with the Jägermeister livery. And it's like, damn, why do you guys do this to me? I just got this one. Because you know I can't help it. I'm going to have to get the other one as well. But that's really a beautiful looking Porsche right there. And what I like about Revo Slot, they just feel substantial because of the aluminum chassis. And this one here, you can see that this one is a angle winder. Again, I haven't had a chance to drive this on the track. So the braids are completely brand new. It needs to be trued. But that's just an awesome looking car. And Revo does a really good job with all their detail, and especially their finishes are always impeccable. Usually I find very few flaws in their paint work, whereas you might pick up another brand and there's all kinds of flaws in it. And maybe because they paint it by hand, and maybe this one's not painted by hand. I don't know. I don't know what the reason for that is. Maybe there's a quality control issue, but Revos are just really nice. And I guess if we're going to compare this one to another one, we can take a look at, this is the 911 GT Evo. It's a GT1 Evo. And this is by Fly, and this one has a very nice livery as well. I haven't had a good chance to get this car running really well. It runs pretty good on the track, and as you can see, it's almost had minimal time on the track. But there's no adjustment here for the motor. There's no pod. But this car does look pretty good as well. It has a nice livery. I do like the Texaco livery a lot, but there's something more refined about this one here when you put them both together. And then I have another one here we can take a look at, and this one is a slotted version. And this one actually does run really well on the track. And it has a nice look. That's a very striking look with all the red and white stripes down the tail there. Love these wheels. And this one's an angle winder. I don't know, which one do you guys like better? The slotted or the Revo? I think I'm partial to the Revo. Maybe it's just because the colors. But this one, I mean, this one looks good too. So anyway, those are the 3 cars I have to show you today. I'm getting to the point where I'm almost sort of running out of the cars that I really like. I don't want to force myself into getting more cars just to have more cars, but I kind of have most of the cars that I really like right now. The only thing I'm really missing, and the one everybody's talking about, is the Datsun 510, the one that's supposed to come out from Revo and the one that's supposed to come out from Slotted. So those cars probably are the next on my list, and hopefully we'll have those by next year at some point. And another one I'm waiting for, and I pre-ordered this one a while ago, and it seems like it's taken forever to get out, but it's the that hippie van that Carrera is debuting at some point. I thought it was going to come out this year, but maybe we're going to see it next year. And other than that, I don't know what's left for 2024. I really don't know what direction these slot car companies are going to go. And so, you know, I actually made a comment last night. If you watch Raul's Conquest Racing, he was discussing, you know, what kind of topics should be discussed. And I said, well, maybe we should have a predictions show so you guys can discuss what we might see in 2024. And I think that would be a really good discussion, because at this point I really don't know what direction most of these slot cars are going to go. They pretty much carried all of the different cars and liveries that I think are available, but are they going to maybe start to do more JDM stuff? I don't know. Maybe that Datsun 510 starts to open up maybe new horizons, and maybe all of a sudden we start seeing more JDM stuff. It's hard to say. Yeah, I look at all the offerings right now, and there's really nothing else that I really feel I have to have. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. I definitely like to see maybe some JDM stuff, but I don't really have any other idea of what they could come out with they already haven't done. You know, other than you're going to have, you know, 10 different versions of the same car, which I really don't want to do. There's only so much room you can store these things at. That is a beautiful car. I can say that much. That's a beautiful car. I can't wait to get these on the track too. Anyway, guys, sorry for my rambling. I've got a lot on my mind right now. It's been a crazy couple of weeks here, just going back and forth and having to deal with the police and having to take reports and finding out all the stuff that's been stolen, you know, out of this house. It's pretty ridiculous. And I feel, and I know the police are probably doing everything they can, but I feel like nothing's happening. And unless I handle it myself and try to, you know, find out who's doing what, that nothing's going to really happen with this. Sadly, you know, like I say, it's going to come to the point where, and I don't want it to see it like this, I don't want this to happen, but it's going to come to the point where the law-abiding citizens of the state of California are going to start protecting themselves, because you can't really rely on anybody else to do it for you. And things are going to start getting really sideways when that happens. So hopefully, we can make some changes and get things back to the way they were, where you had a little bit of the law on your side and you could actually not have to go through what I'm going through right now, which is trying to do your own legwork, you know, and trying to find out maybe who did something nefarious or illegal to you or to your property. That's all I can think of right now. And so with that, I will say you guys have a great Thanksgiving and stay safe out there. And most of all, protect your stuff. You know, don't let anybody come in and take it from you because they're too lazy to work or go get a job and get it for themselves. You know, do what you can within the law, of course, but protect your stuff. That's all I can say. All right, guys, that's all for now. We will talk to you later. Bye for now. Thanks for watching, and if you like this kind of content, please give us a like and subscribe.